Hey guys, welcome to my channel. And don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to like and say nice things. We don't like nasty things. We want you to say nice things. Now, you know this channel is devoted to in and everything pertaining to show business. Now, today we have a casting director. Very important because we all know in the professional world that there's a lot of misinformation out there, disinformation, whatever you want to call it, telling you guys to do things that really aren't exactly true. This gentleman has been in the business for several years and he's very successful. Okay, so what are we calling successful? Ragtime, Aida, Showboat, Lion King. Is that successful enough for you? And it goes on and on and on. So he knows what he's talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, Arnold Mungioli. How you doing, Arnold?
Oh, Vivian, that's probably my favorite introduction I've ever had. Thank you.
You know I'm going to give it to you now. You know I'm going to give it to you. So let's just jump in. Arnold, let's start with number one. When you, for instance, during this whole COVID period, a lot of people were sending in audition tapes, using Zoom or whatever, their phones, whatever. Now, should they or should they not, when they deliver their dialogue, be looking directly into the camera? I know that they have to slate looking into the camera, but tell us about that.
Yeah, so generally speaking, when we're doing on-camera auditions of any kind, and that means if we're doing it for a television show or film, or if we're doing on-camera auditions for theater because, say, the producer isn't there, the producer's in Toronto or London or wherever, and we need to tape the auditions with Actors Equity's permission, etc. The wisdom is that the actor would be interacting with the reader. So like right now, I'm looking at the camera talking to you. Yes. But if you were filming me as an actor in my audition, the reader would be next to the camera. So yes. I would be looking over here and you would have a view of me as I'm doing my work, and you would see what reactions I'm having as I interact with the reader who's just slightly off screen. So yes. And it could be on the other side, but it would not be directly into the lens, which simply appears awkward. Yes, you're correct. You slate directly because your slate is your moment on camera in an on-camera audition to say hello to the people you're auditioning for, to present in that one greeting your personality. Perhaps they specifically ask for your height or your contact information. Perhaps we pan up and down so we can get a sense of your body frame and your height. And then we zoom in about, maybe from here to here, and we watch your work. But we don't want to see your work. It's sort of like when you watch a movie or television, you're not looking at the actor up on the screen, looking right at you to do their love scene. They're doing their love scene to the other character, and the camera's coming in an ever so slight angle. It doesn't have to be vast. You don't want it 90 degrees, but you want it in a place where you're obviously talking to another character. So yeah, you're right about
that. Do you understand what Arnold just said? Now, of course, if there's two characters, probably put one on one side of the camera and one on the other side. Right, Arnold?
That works. The mistakes I see most commonly are actors will kind of, instead of creating a vector of 90 degrees where you're at the point of it and you've got one person there and one person there, sometimes they make it a little too wide and they're doing one person over here and another person over here, and we're only getting a profile, so we're never really seeing what's going on in your visage. Yes. So that can be problematic. But yeah, or you could have the one person say here and the other person say here, on camera, because we're zoomed in, as so many of us talking on Zoom and on these recordings now, we're zoomed in so close that what we're doing, even the most subtle gesture, has dramatic impact in terms of creating a sense of space or a sense of where those other people are.
And so how close should it be? I mean, how far are they recording themselves? Is it shoulder or mid-chest up, or?
Generally a little further out than I am, so perhaps like kind of like here maybe, so kind of like chest to top, because we want to see if you're doing anything dramatically. Let's say something in the scene is making you uncomfortable and you're over here and something happens, or Perhaps you make a gesture of folding your arms. We want to kind of have a sense of what your body's doing. That's why at the beginning, whenever I'm doing any kind of taping for on camera, I will always pan the actor slowly to feet, back to head. So we have a sense of body frame so that when we're zoomed in, again, not this close, but, chest to top of the head, when we're zoomed in, we have a sense of what this body frame is in terms of what you're doing in that frame.
Okay, so that's valuable information. And there have been occasions, and I know this for sure, that a casting director has told the agent, your agent, to look at the camera. That's a very special kind of situation. But if the casting director asks for that, it's far and few in between. But if that's what they want, then that's what you do. But if that is not requested, you do not look at the camera when you're doing your dialogue. Remember that. Did you want to say something, Arnold?
Yeah, thank you, Vivian. I think that there may be a certain amount of confusion among young people because a lot of the what they're watching now, a lot of television, for example, Parks and Recreation, The Office, even going as far back as the show Moonlighting, the characters will sometimes stop and have little segments where they talk directly to the audience. They talk to the camera for little segments and then they jump back into their scenes.
That's basically what you would call direct addressing, wouldn't it be?
Yes, absolutely. So as you're pointing out, there may be situations where for a particular audition, the instruction is to look directly into the camera for certain monologues that are the soliloquies or asides or whatever terminology you want to give it in terms of how they incorporate it into contemporary television scripts. That would be a direction you would receive to know to do that. Otherwise, my advice would be to avoid it.
And also, if you think about it, you little cuties watching this, when you, just like Arnold said earlier, when you see television shows, dramas, go to the movies, whatever, they're not looking at you giving their dialogue. Think of it. A lot of it is just common sense. So if you're going to these workshops and they're telling you to do that, run. Get your money back and run, because that is definitely so not right. Okay? So hope that you understand what that is. Okay, Arnold, that was great. All right, Arnold, let's get to females, to the lovely young ladies. Arnold?
I have missed you so much. Yes.
Now, Arnold.
Yes.
I want you, just, if you have to hit us over the head with this, because there's no sugarcoating in any of these conversations, because we have got to get you to understand, if you're going to get to first base, and if you want this industry to take you seriously, you got to listen to what we're telling you, because we've been doing this. Arnold's been doing this forever. He knows what works and what doesn't work. Arnold, tell us how ladies should come dressed to an audition.
Same as men. Don't be a slob. And I know that sounds a little, offhanded, but really, when you come into the audition room, we're assessing a lot of things. We're assessing the kind of person you are. We're assessing the kind of professional you are. We're trying to get a sense of what you would be like in the rehearsal room for 4 weeks, 12 hours a day. We want to feel like, is this somebody who's a team player, who's good in community? And then beyond that, hopefully we're going to have a really long running show. And we want to get a sense of what you're going to be like as a team member in the cast and throughout that process. And we want to sense that you're a professional. Now, Broadway professionals who've done Broadway shows, they walk in the room in a certain way.
Yep.
But there's no reason, if you haven't had that experience yet, that you can't walk in the room the same way. In business, there's an adage that's often used: you dress for where you want to be. You don't dress for where you are, you dress for where you want to be. So maybe you're not the type of person who would come to a job interview in a nicely pressed shirt or a little, jacket that's a bit elegant, a bit nice. Perhaps you're more a half t-shirt and flip-flops kind of gal or person. Is that where you want to stay? You want to stay in that world of whatever it might be, making $4,000 a year and trying to support yourself and make a living? Or do you want to start to get yourself up to the equity first class production Broadway minimum salaries? Well, look at how those people are working. Do you want to get yourself up to star salaries? Look at how those people are dressing, what they're doing when they're working, how they're walking into the audition room. They look good. And we're not such a formal business. I mean, it would be rare. I'd expect a man to come to an audition in a jacket and tie, unless the character were specifically that. But you do want to reflect the world of the show a little bit. So if you're coming in for Showboat for the role of Magnolia, you probably wouldn't wear the jeans and leather jacket you might wear for an audition for Rent. So you don't want to ever wear a costume, but you do want to come in reflecting the world of the show. And I think that is important. All of that said, please be clean. Please don't look like somebody who has maybe some hygiene problems. Please come into the room not looking like you grabbed this shirt off the top of your dirty laundry pile this morning because you haven't gotten to your laundry this week and it's all you had and it's all rumpled. I had a business lunch earlier today and I took the shirt out of the closet and I was like, okay, I had allowed just enough time. And I thought, do I have time to steam this shirt because it's wrinkled? And I don't go, and it was with a business colleague who's also a friend. It would have been fine if I showed up in a rumpled shirt, but I wouldn't do it. And that's the professional he knows me to be. So I tried to grab the steamer and reassemble it and put the pole back up. And my partner said to me, how about the iron? And I was like, much faster. And I grabbed the iron and I pressed the shirt because you don't go to professional meetings not looking your professional best. And the same is true for actors in auditions. It's a professional meeting. You want to look your professional best. And it's a situation where it doesn't have to be formal, but you got to look good. Don't you want to look good? Don't you want us to want to hire you because you look so good?
And also, too, you want to be taken seriously. So if you come in there, ladies, I'm talking to you now. If you come in there with a skirt or shorts up to your yin yang, and then your belly's out, and then you're showing much cleavage, I doubt seriously if they're going to be paying attention to your talent and what you have to offer because you're giving them everything else to look at, and that's what you don't want. Be careful what you put in and all the jewelry and stuff. You don't want that. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. You want them to hone in on your talent. That's
Great
what
advice.
you want. And also, know your sides. Know your music. Spend that time because I know a lot of you think, okay, oh yeah, I can memorize this. I know how this goes. That's not enough. Spend time on those sides of that piece of music so that you know it and then you can perform it. You can do it justice. You want them to envision you on the stage in that show that they're casting. But honey, if you ain't got your shit together, they're not gonna vision you except out the door. Okay, so remember that. Take this seriously if you're coming into this business. And as Arnold said earlier, if you want to have a really good career in this business, and you can. And don't forget, success is relative. It's whatever the goals you set for yourself. You can be successful. That was great. That was great.
Ms.
Okay.
Vivian, telling you like it is. I want to add one more anecdote to that. Some time ago, it wasn't that long ago, I was casting for a season of musicals at a theater, and the artistic director was with me in the equity principal audition call. And the women would each come in and they'd go to the piano and put their music down. And in doing so, they'd kind of have to bend over a little bit. And after about the first, I don't know, maybe half hour, we had seen 6 or 8 women already. And every single one of them who came in and bent over to put their music on the piano, the artistic director, and this is the artistic director of the theater for the entire season, he leaned over to me and he said, what is with these women not wearing hose? Do they understand that I can't hire them? And I thought that was so telling because that's not the current fashion, which I understand. And actually, thanks to Kate Middleton, I think it is back in fashion a bit. I think we have seen that a princess does wear hose. The elegant, more sophisticated women do.
I wear
And
hose all the time. Yeah.
and then, well, it's something, what I always say to young actors is, I know, like, you're young and you're beautiful and your legs are fine, but when you get in those audition rooms under those fluorescent lights that turn skin green, guess what? You're not going to look as good as the girl who comes in after you who made that choice to protect herself from those lights and to look really fabulous and like a professional. So it's, we're not alone in this. I think a lot of people who make the decisions about whom to hire care about those things.
Yes. Also, ladies, I hate to keep picking on you. Let's talk about makeup. Arnold, I'll let you go first. How should ladies come in? Just deal with the makeup.
Years ago when I cast Fosse for Broadway, it was a very specific direction. And of course, Bob Fosse had died not too long before, but long enough that we were trying to keep something alive, a certain standard and level of work. And one of the directions I was asked to give every dancer who came in, every woman dancer who came in, was, it's not makeup, but it's not no makeup. And I thought that was such a great direction, because we don't want you to come in as Shakespeare put it in Midsummer Night's Dream, like a painted maypole, but we also want you to look good, again, under ugly fluorescent lights. Sometimes young women in their apartment, they're looking in their makeup mirror and they're like, oh my God, look, I look fantastic. And then they get in that room with those ugly green fluorescents, and it's just like, you look kind of blotchy and terrible. But we're going to try to overlook that because we know you're going to go on stage with stage makeup. Well, why not help us along? Why not come in looking your best under not ideal lighting so that we can see how good you're going to look on stage? Make us want to hire you.
Yes. But don't overdo. Like with the blood red lips and the eyelashes out to here where they can't see your eyes. Where you have so much black over your eyes with the eyelashes and then a lot of black under your eyes, and we just simply can't see your eyes. That's what you don't want to do either. So you got to find that balance so that they see your beautiful face. And of course, we're not telling you not to put on makeup. You got to put on some makeup, but just pay attention to how much makeup you're putting on. And jewelry. How do you feel about jewelry, Arnold?
It depends. Again, you kind of want to be in the world of the show you're auditioning for. But if you're auditioning for a season or for a lot of theaters at some of the Straw Hats or NETC or theater conferences, you don't know exactly which show, or you're auditioning for so many different shows that you can't be specific with that. So you want jewelry that's not distracting. And for a lot of women, like, I can't quite see the necklace you're wearing there, Vivian, but a lot of those light chains with a heavy pendant, when you're in an audition room and you're acting and you lean forward, I'll use my microphone cord here. When you lean, and probably smash up the sound, but when you lean forward, it comes forward. And then sometimes as you're moving in your audition, the heavy metal pendant may stick to your skin over here.
Yes.
And suddenly your jewelry is sideways and we're trying to watch you, but that's so disorienting and distracting. So you want to be conscious in your jewelry of, how you can move and how it moves with you and how it adorns you and accents you rather than it being about the jewelry.
For me, I always keep it simple. You want some studs in your ears, that's fine. Bangles are out, because what do bangles do? They make noise. And you got a bunch of them on your arm, they're going to be making noise, jiggling all around and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So you don't want bangles. You just want to keep your jewelry simple. Here again, you want them to focus on what you have to offer, not listening to your jewelry. Whereas Arnold said your necklace gets caught over here and they're busy looking at it. No. So keep it simple. All right, Arnold. Let's talk about attitude when they come in. Because, baby, in some of these conversations, some of these directors, Lord, I have heard stories how people have come into audition, had an attitude, and they're looking to be hired for a show. Please speak on that.
Oh my God, what a topic you've opened there.
I know.
Oh my Lord. Yeah, there's an actress I know who is a really wonderful, really successful established actress who works mostly in regional theater. And she's always booked a year in advance and always back to back, show to show to show.
Amazing.
Every theater that's worked with her wants her back. She's fantastic. She's really highly regarded. And she was asked once, what is her advice to young actors? And she really thought for a moment and she said, be present and be pleasant. And that's the thing. I mean, being fully present in your work, being good at what you do, all of that craft, all of that studying, all of that training you've done, don't leave it behind when you walk in the audition room. Bring that in. We want to see that. And we also want to get a sense of what it's going to be like to work with you. And what actors don't understand sometimes is that, again, what we're assessing is what it's going to be like to be in the rehearsal room with you. When I say 12 hours a day, obviously you've got an 8-hour rehearsal day, but there's a break in there. The creative team is showing up early. They're staying late. You know, they're putting in 12 hours a day and sometimes longer. As a casting director, I've put in literally 20 hours a day in during a week of a series of auditions where we were literally going from one audition to auditions the next day. And, you know, if I could sleep for 4 hours in between, that was great, because we're just working at that level. And when you're working with people like that and someone is unnecessarily difficult or just doesn't want to be there or doesn't care or somehow has these megalomaniacal delusions that, like, well, I'm meant for much bigger things. And I always say, really, let me see your resume. Let me see all the much bigger things that people are hiring you for. Because in my experience of life, you work and then you do well and you kind of get a bit of a promotion or get to work a better gig, and then you do well and then you get a better gig, and if you do well you get a better gig, and you build a career over time. And what happens in our industry is there's this delusion that occurs from the rare exceptions we see where, oh, look, somebody put her thing on YouTube and she got 1 million viewers, or on TikTok or on Instagram, and she got picked up and she got put over into a Broadway show because she has all that following. And see, you don't really have to do anything. Oh, and she's not even nice. Uh-huh. And let me know where she is in 5 years. And let me know where she is in 10 years, because in our society right now, with the way we're attuned to phones and news and everything being so current, and yesterday's news is so far outdated, we don't even care about it. We get this idea of this quick fix of like, oh, if we could get a Broadway show and just do it, then we've made it. That's not making it. That's not a career. You've got a long life ahead of you. You're going to be older for much longer than you are younger. And you've got to fill all of those years. And if you want to do this thing that you love, you got to be someone who's great to work with, who people want to have in the audition room. And I've had so many experiences over the years at both ends of the spectrum where directors have like an actress walk in the room and the director just looked at me and said, and after the audition, I'd say, okay, no, I thought she was pretty terrific. Tell me what the issue is. And the director's like, very difficult person, and I won't work with her again. I don't want to talk about it. That's it. What can I do with that? It's like, well, this person is very talented, but clearly she did something that I don't know about, where this director is just not going to work with her.
Do you think there's ever any redemption in a situation like that?
I have seen that happen. I will also say there's the other end of the spectrum where directors say, oh, this person doesn't need to audition. I'd work with them in a heartbeat. Can we just do it? And the music director will say, well, I actually need to hear her voice. Great. You hear her sing. As long as she's okay with you, I'm hiring her. That's great. You know, so we see both ends of the spectrum. I think that it's a great question about redemption. It happened some years ago with an actress who's now actually very famous. But I went to bat for her with the director, and the director said, no, it's too severe. She's too toxic. It's too difficult. Wow. And so I told her agent, who asked me about it. I said, I can't fight this. I think she's terrifically talented and would be great, but I can't fight it. And the agent obviously talked to her client, and the actress wrote to me and wrote a beautiful letter explaining that she had been through a very difficult time in her life. She knows exactly what this director is talking about. She acknowledges it and takes responsibility for it. And if she were just given another chance, she really is in a different place in her life. So I brought that letter to the director, and he was like, it's too much of a risk. I said, but if someone can't, like, is that it? She was young and she did something stupid, and now she's got to pay
We've
for it the
all
rest
done
of
it.
her life.
We've all done it.
You know,
Yeah.
is there no way she can make amends for that, or somehow take responsibility and move on? And finally, the director was willing to agree, and we offered her a position that was ensemble with understudy, and her agent said she doesn't want to understudy.
Oh.
And I said, oh, no, 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 no,
After
no,
you went
because
to bat.
I put my neck on the line, and I got a letter from her that says that she wants to, like, rebuild her reputation and make amends. She ain't getting a lead right out of the gate. This is that opportunity. And so eventually the actress called me up and she said, thank you for that. You're absolutely right. I didn't see that. But, she was thinking about her talent level, which was
Yes.
very, very high. She wasn't thinking about that. She needed to do the work to rebuild. So she did it. She was terrific. She and I became friends. And
what about the director? Did he start liking her again?
he was very happy. He was very happy. He felt like there was no trouble and it was okay. And like I was kind of like off the hook on that one. That was good. And then she went on to become a really big TV star.
But you know what?
Big.
Thank God you went to bat for her, because I mean, we've all had those moments in our career. Maybe not everybody, but I would say a lot of us have had those moments where it was just not a good time. Maybe we were in a bad mood. Maybe we said things that we shouldn't have said. And I think there should be room for redemption, especially. And I love the fact that she wrote a letter, because if she really didn't care and was like, well, screw y'all don't want me, I don't want you, trust me, she would not have written that letter. The fact that she wrote that letter and you went to bat for her, so that's commendable too, Arnold.
Well, she was owning it. You know what I mean? She was acknowledging her past and owning it and really working on making a change. So when you talk about attitude, Vivian, people come in the room, and if we don't know you, if you're new, this very often happens. A director will say, okay, we like her, let's just take this resume. Who knows someone on this resume we can call to get a recommendation? Because I don't want to get in a rehearsal room for 4 weeks with someone who's really difficult and going to bring down this process. So I need to know that she's okay to work with. And we look at the resume and we look at all those names that you put on your resume of your college professors and your theater teachers and your directors of the shows you've done so far. And invariably, someone on the team, usually me, will say, well, I know somebody I can contact. And I'll contact and say, what, director is interested in hiring this actor, but wants to kind of get a sense of what they're like to work with. And I've had it happen where directors have given them a very high recommendation and said, I would have no hesitation in recommending her. She's terrific. And I've had it happen where directors have just picked up the phone and called me up and said, I got your email, and I would not ever hire her again in a million years. And I've had to bring that information back. So, we're working in community. Nobody's in a vacuum. Nobody's on a separate island. We're all here together. And if you're being difficult and if you're coming in with a bad attitude, we read that and we say, thank you very much. And we're done.
Well, that's what I say. I mean, just perhaps these people don't know you. So if you already have an attitude coming in to an audition, they don't know you. And then you have an attitude, you're disrespectful to the accompanist, especially if you're singing something. There's just a way. I think there's got to be a healthy respect for the people that you are auditioning for. Come in with confidence, an air of confidence, but not cockiness, and know your music and be respectful when you speak to them, because attitude won't get you anywhere. I will assure you.
Absolutely.
Do you have any funny stories to tell? Anything that happened in an audition? I know you got some shit up there. Come on now.
just in general.
Yeah, just any funny thing that might have happened in an audition. You said, "Oh God."
Well, it's funny because you brought up there, don't be rude to the accompanist. Oh my God, the number one rule of musical theater auditioning: do not be rude to your accompanist. And I don't know if you remember Sandy Campbell, the fabulous musical accompanist of Broadway for so many decades.
So yeah,
yeah,
time ago. Yeah,
she's still around, and she's amazing, and she really was the premier accompanist for Broadway. Just every show, and actors knew when they came in the room if they saw her at the piano. they relaxed immediately because they knew she would follow and do anything they did. And if they messed up, she would cover for them. She would fix it and adjust things to make them look good. She was a true accompanist in the truest sense of, old Broadway. And I remember an actor came in and was very haughty and very cocky and brought the music to the piano and put it down on the piano and really in a condescending way said to Sandy, "You won't know this song." And she started to explain to her what she had to do with the song. And Sandy looked at it and turned to her and said, "Young lady, do you have the record album at home of the musical that the cast recording of the musical this song is from?" And the girl looked at her and went, "Yes." And Sandy said, "Oh, well, when you get home, I want you to take it off your shelf and look at it. And in a box on the lower right-hand side, on the cover of the album, you'll see musical director Sandy Campbell. I'm Sandy Campbell." And she put out her hand to say hello.
But why would she even speak to her that way? I mean, what would possess this person to even behave that way? I mean, come on. You're going in there trying to get a job. Lord, y'all listening? Are you all listening to this? That particular story that he just told makes no sense. Why would you speak to anybody like that? Precisely. And you're going in trying to get a job. And while we're on the subject of an accompanist,
oh boy,
they probably will know the song, yes. But depending on who you are, most of the time, I think when you're young, you get 16 bars. Is that still like that? Or will they sing the whole song?
Well, certainly for the chorus calls. For the chorus calls, it would be 16 bars.
But let's just say you have a piece of music, and let's say you're going to do the whole song. And maybe you have a cut in the song. If you don't tell them about that cut, and it's not clearly delineated in your music, and if there's a retard, and it's not clearly marked in your music, they're not going to know that, even though they may know the song. So make sure that when you are marking up your music, that you mark it correctly, where the cut is, and explain it to them. And don't take a year doing it, honey. That people auditioning, you are waiting. So do not stand at that piano for 8 minutes trying to explain. These are not dumb people. They know what they're doing. Show the tempo. Let them see your hand go back and forth. Maybe a measure. That's it. That's all they need. These are very good people. And have your music clearly delineated where all of the things that you want them to do. So that's it. Just follow that. Lord, that is a great story. I mean, the nerve. That's a lot of nerve. Anyway, this has been such a great conversation. Anything else you want to say before we close this out? Did we forget anything?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of community in theater, and we during the pandemic created something called Grateful, Ready, Open, Willing. I don't know if you can see it on my screen over there. Yes. The acronym is GROW, of course, and it's just a place in social media. And there's a Facebook group, and there's a Instagram and a YouTube channel and Twitter for actors and theater people to come and try to be mindful of a lot of the things we're talking about in terms of community. It's a mix of Tony Award winning actors and new kids just out of their training programs to share and to come together and to get inspiration from one another. And it's something I've been running for over a year now, and I really enjoy it. So I would just welcome all viewers. It will be a website probably within the next few months. That will happen. Okay. I'm actually building it myself. I'm in a class on website design in my spare time. So that will be coming, but it is definitely a place that you can all find on your social media, and hopefully you'd find some inspiration there and more connections to talks like this. I'm not taking anything away from what you're doing. I think what you're doing is awesome, but also that's just another resource.
That's great. That's another outlet. Absolutely, that's another outlet. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have had a great conversation with Arnold Mungioli. I mean, a fabulous conversation. Please just heed what he said, what we talked about. And you will fare so much better than going in with attitude, being ill-prepared, too much makeup, the skirt's too short, just being over the top. It's not going to get you anywhere. You got to trust what we're telling you. So thank you, Arnold, so much.
Such a pleasure. Thank you for having me, Vivian.
Absolutely. And to you viewers, thank you for checking out this video. And don't forget to subscribe And don't forget to like. And I'll see you the next time. Wave, Arnold. Bye.
Bye.